Okay, so today we're cleaning out the carby on this old Briggs and Stratton lawnmower here. It's a pretty good lawnmower, but you know, carby gets plugged up fairly often. I don't know why. Probably pretty primitive air filter system on it, but you know, I think we'll have to evade the rain. The skies aren't too, grateful at the moment. Although it looks pretty blue on the camera, it's actually pretty dark. So anyway, I'll strip all the plastic shit off this and we'll get going. Okay, so it's a bit dark out here, but I'll remove the carby bowl by taking out this nut. On some carbies you'll find there's a hole that goes through the top of the nut there, and then there's another hole that passes through both sides. On that sort of system you'll want to get a bit of wire brush, pull out a strand and sort of just clean out those little holes and blow it out with air, make sure that's all clean. But on this one, this type, which has the jet inlet on the side of the tube there, what you want to do is you take your pin out. Sometimes they're roll pins and they get a bit stuck in there, but generally head them up a little bit with a small torch, not a torch and heat gun. We'll loosen them up a bit because it's only an aluminium casting. So anyway, there's the inlet needle, there's the rest of the carb. This one looks pretty clean. So what I'll do now is first off remove the inlet screw here, which I'll use that screwdriver for. I'll have to put the camera down, and then get a bit of wire brush and poke all these little holes out. Make sure they're all nice and clean, and you can blow a little bit of air through the inlet, but be careful you don't pop your seat out there, because then you'll be up for a new seat. You'll have a carby that floods everywhere and wonder why. It's because you've lost your seat. So anyway, and you can give all these other holes a bit of a light blowout, not too much. You don't want to blow anything to pieces, but enough to dislodge any fuel. If it's bad in there, if it's got a lot of varnishing or whatever, soaking in a bit of methyl or terps or something like that, just make sure you take off your O-ring here so you don't dissolve that, although it's pretty impervious to most things. And make sure you've got no rust on your bowl. If you do, a little bit of steel wool should fix that up. Just as long as it's not flaking, it's not much of a problem. It just indicates you've had water in there, which isn't a good thing at all. So anyway, I'll go and clean out all these little passageways with the air compressor. Alright, so I've blown her all out. I've put my inlet screw back in there until it bottoms out. So screw it all the way in until it just has light resistance, and then screw it out about 1 1/4 turns for Briggs and Stratton engines. That's just a general whereabouts. The best thing is to take note of how many turns it screws in before you take it out. But anyway, all them are blown out, it's all nice and clean in there. So the next thing to do is put the inlet needle back in. So now on this particular model, the needle slips in the float itself. You might not be able to see it there, but it actually has a rebate in there, slips in there, so you want to slip it into that. Make sure it's in there properly, and on other models make sure they're all seated the correct way, otherwise you'll have a bad fuel flow. Either it won't come on, not fast enough, blah blah blah, stays on, floods the carby. So anyway, here's the little pin. It's a bit hard to do with one hand, so we've sort of got the camera hand assisting. Yeah, it's actually very hard to do with one hand. Anyway, you just slip the pin back in there. There you go. So there, the pin's back in there. Now we're ready to put the bowl back on. Now generally the best thing to do is if there is a low spot and a high spot in the bowl, the high spot goes to where the inlet needle is, and the low spot goes to where the carby float sits downwards. That's so that the carby float has more travel. So anyway, that's on generally Tecumseh carbies and the bigger Briggs and Stratton carbies, like on this rider mower and that rider mower with my electrolysis there, have them. So anyway, we'll do up this screw, we'll reinstall the carby on the mower there. We'll see what happens. It's a bit dark out, so I've got all the lights and everything on. Enough lights around here to keep us going. There's enough shit around here to bloody fall over and kill yourself anyway. That's one of my priorities, cleaning this up, but you know, shit happens. So I'll have to do up that nut and I'll refit her onto the engine. One thing I thought I might add before I do that is on Briggs and Stratton carbies, when you're going to order parts, generally on the left hand side here, near where the fuel inlet is on this type of carby, there's a little imprint. This one says LMS, so this is an LMS series carby, which I could look up in my book, but I don't have my book here. On the other side's the serial number. Of course you can't see it, you might be able to see the rough outline there, but anyway, it's there. So we'll refit this. Now, not that I doubt my capacity to fix lawnmowers too much, but I've just put a long fuel line on, filled that up with fuel, fed that from the tank over there, so that if the carby does not work, don't have to put all that annoying cowling back on and off, you know, saves a lot of hard work. So anyway, we'll give her a whirl, see how we go. Okay, well, that ain't too bad, it ain't perfect. I'd rather first pull, but you know, I think with a bit of adjustment to the mixture screw, you know, we might have a little bit of better starting, but anyway, that's fairly good. Probably also having a gravity fed fuel tank on it that's feeding it some decent amount of fuel might help as well. So anyway, I'll refit the fuel tank, refit all the cowling, and then we'll give her a bit of a decent run. Okay, let's see how we go now the cowling and everything's back on. We've got a decent fuel supply. Now I'd reckon that's pretty good for an old engine. Oh well, that's running fairly reasonable. It has got a lot of hours on it. I've used it quite a lot for my contracting purposes, that sort of rubbish, but hadn't been running 2 or 3 months. And the carby was a bit plugged up with old fuel, because over the hot summer, you know, fuel vaporizes and varnishes and all that sort of shit. So, but yeah, I paid 25 bucks for this mower. Brand new, it was still in its box. The box had all rotted around it. I'd been sitting in someone's chicken shed for years and years and years and years. I don't know why. But anyway, they'd never ever run it. Still had the original oil and all the tags on it and all that sort of shit. So, you know, put oil in here, 600 mil, blah blah blah, you know. So, anyway, you know, it's had a couple hundred hours on it now, 300-400 hours, but she'll be right. Alright, see you later.